Good morning. Happy Sunday. I'm just going to copy and paste the link to the Spotify playlist I created right underneath this live video. So if you choose to listen along, you are welcome to, and the link will be right there for you. Okay, just paste it. Okay. Perfect. That should be ready to go. Good morning. Hey, Jen. Okay. And we are going to be starting in Shavasana this morning. So once you're all set up and settled in, you can go ahead and lie down on your backs. Get nice and comfy. We'll give everyone a few minutes to get logged on and settled in, and then we'll get started. Make sure I put the right link in there. Yep, good. Okay. Hope everyone had a good week and that you're feeling well. I'm happy to be here with you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Erica. I'm going to be guiding you through your yoga flow for the week. One of my highlights of the week. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here whenever it is that you're logging on. All you need is a mat if you have one. If not, just some space. I always recommend having some water close by, maybe some music. I have a playlist for you, but that's always optional. So either your own music or nothing at all if that's what serves you best. And we're going to get started in just a moment. We're going to start lying down on our backs. So if you're not there, go ahead and lie down. Find a nice comfortable variation. I'm going to meet you there in just a moment. And just start to settle in. Settle into your body, settle into your space, settle into your breath. Close your eyes. I'm starting my music really quietly in the background. So if you're listening along, you can go ahead and get that started. All right. And just take a couple of slow, deep inhales and exhales. And before we invite any movement into the body, just take a quick notice of how you feel. We're lying on our backs, our eyes are closed, we're just breathing. And of course I want you to think about how you feel physically, but I also want you to check in mentally and emotionally too. And first, maybe you notice any areas of tension or tightness in the body. Just try to imagine the breath going there. Try to breathe into them and gently soften those areas. And then bring something into your mind, something into your heart that makes you smile, that makes you happy on this Sunday morning, whatever it is. Doesn't matter how big, how small, how silly. Because I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, these long days and this cold weather and aside from, work and the necessities, kind of an empty calendar. So I know that can affect the mood of many. Maybe feeling a little down. Even if you're trying to stay positive, maybe feeling a little stiff from the cold. So when we talk about staying positive, understand that staying positive, or keeping a positive mindset, doesn't mean that you're going to be happy all the time. But it means that even on hard days and hard times, you know that there are better ones coming your way. You can stay exactly as you are on your backs, but I want to try to offer you, I'm going to offer you, and it's up to you if you take it or not, Supta Baddha Konasana, which sounds fun in Sanskrit, but really it's just a nice way to open up while we're on our back. So if you want to try this, you can bring the soles of the feet to touch. I'll show you sitting up first. Let the knees fall out wide to the side. And then maybe even bringing the arms to cactus, like football goalposts. 90-degree angles. Try to make sure your lower back's not lifting. Feel the chest start to open, feel the hips start to open. And so I encourage you, while we're here for a few more moments, to bring something into your heart, something into your mind that makes you happy, that makes you smile, that you're grateful for. And allow that to be your focus or your guide as we move through our physical practice today. So focusing on that, focusing on the breath, and taking just a few more moments here, whether you are completely extended or you're in this Supta Baddha Konasana. Supta just means recline, and then Baddha Konasana is bound to ankle, so our ankles together, really our soles of our feet together to touch. Really nice, easy way to just kind of open up the heart space, open up the hips, try to unclench the glutes again, try to relax the back, suck in the belly for just another breath. Good. Let's take our final breath here. Good. And if any time during our practice you lose your focus or something's hard or you're tired, just try to come back to these thoughts, these positive thoughts, these positive affirmations. Just actually smile. See how it changes the way you feel. Good. And let's bring the legs together to touch and extend them out long in front of us. Extend the arms overhead. Let's take a nice full body stretch, suck in the belly. Long line of energy all the way from the fingertips to your toes. Good. And then let's bring our arms down by our sides. Palms can face down on your mat. And let's bring a bend into the knees, soles of the feet to the floor. And let's very gently just drop the knees side to side, windshield wipering them, gently loosening up that lower back area, bringing some movement back into the hips. And then next time you come center, let's lift the feet off the earth and hug the knees into the chest. Good. Use the arms wrapped around the front of the legs just to gently draw the legs closer to the body. Make sure you're not lifting that tailbone or your hips off the mat. We want to keep that connected. And then together, again, you can release the hands down by the sides, and then using your core, straightening out your legs. Okay, they don't have to be perfectly straight and locked out. You could probably see if you're looking at the video, I have a little bit of a micro bend in my knees, which is perfectly fine. Okay, really suck in the lower belly, feel the core engaged to keep the legs elevated. And maybe invite some movements into the feet, maybe pointing and flexing the toes. Maybe a gentle roll of the ankles. Good, mild inversion here. Start to wake up the body. And we're going to get into the hamstrings a little bit here. So let's interlace our hands behind the right leg. And then slowly and with control, let's lower the left leg all the way to the mat, extend it out long. And if that's too much for you this early in our practice, you are welcome to bring a bend into that left leg. And I'll show you what that looks like here. Good. But if it feels okay with you, you can straighten it out all the way to the mat, or you can even hover a few inches off if you want to get the core a little bit more engaged. But our true focus here, our primary focus, is the back of this right leg, this hamstring. So continue with the foot and ankle movements. Gently guide the leg closer to the body. Take a few breaths. You can keep the eyes closed. And then slowly and with control, wherever your left leg is, we're going to bring it up to meet the right. And then we're just going to switch. So interlacing the hands behind the left leg, slowly and with control, lowering the right leg either to that extended variation with your foot connected, foot hovering, or the option to bend that right leg if you need to. There is no right or wrong as long as you are listening to your body and honoring where it is this morning, what feels good. Good. Continue the steady breath here. Again, if you did so on the first side, continue moving that foot and that ankle. Now let's switch one more time. So let's bring that right leg back up to meet the left. Switch the interlaced hands, slowly lower. Now I'm going to hold it for a few breaths on each side one more time, but if you want to pick up the pace a little bit and start alternating legs at a quicker pace, you're welcome to if you're feeling warm and ready for it, but it's really early in our practice, so don't push anything. Good. If you're not moving and you're holding on this right side, let's settle in for another breath or two. Good. And then again, slowly with control, we bring the left leg up to meet the right, change the interlaced hands to the left leg, slowly lower the right, to its preferred position. Good. If you were going a little faster and just an option, it might look a little bit like this. We don't want to go too fast, but more of an active stretch here. So I'm just going to give you a couple breaths. Either hold this to continue moving, to even out, whatever you need to do. Take your final breath or two. And then whatever you're doing, make sure you're even. And we're going to hug both knees back into the chest. Top body can stay grounded and connected. And we're going to take a nice little spinal twist here. So let's extend that left arm out to the side if you have space. If you don't, you can come into that bent arm cactus. But if you have space for a straight arm, extend it. Right hand to the outside of the left knee. Drop both knees over to the right. Gazing off that left arm. Inviting in a gentle spinal twist. You can keep your eyes closed here. Even if the gaze is off that left arm, eyes can still stay closed. I know I like to settle in my poses and close my eyes and kind of eliminate any of that stimulus, any of that distraction. Just focus on how my body feels, focus on my breath. Using that right hand just to gently guide those legs a little bit deeper. Make sure your shoulder's not popping off on the left side. If it is, back off of the twist. And then preparing to switch to the other side. We're going to release the grip with that right hand. Extend the right arm out to the side. Using the core, bringing the knees through center. Dropping them over to the left. Left hand to the outside of the right leg. Gaze comes off that right arm. Knees are stacked. Hips are stacked. Right shoulder is connected. Gentle twist from the core. Good. Settle in for a few more breaths. Let's gently release out of this. So release your hand grip, coming back center. Let's bring the knees back into the chest, and we're going to take a couple of rocks up and down the length of our mat, if that feels okay. If it doesn't, just take one to get up. We are going to meet in easy seat. I like to take a couple rocks on my mat and on my rug. It feels kind of good, but your surface might not, so you use your best judgment. However, we're going to meet in easy seat at the top of our mat. Okay, good. And once you get there, really suck in the belly, nice and tall through the chest, nice and proud. And take a moment if you'd like to set an intention for your practice. Maybe it's just to continue to think about whatever it is that makes you happy or that you're grateful for. Maybe just smile here for a moment. On our next inhale, let's bring those shoulders nice and high to the ears. And on the exhale breath, you're going to slowly roll them down the back. Let's do it one more time, nice and slow. As you breathe in and fill all the way up, shoulders come up towards the ears. And on the exhale, they roll down the back. Good. If it's available for you, I want you to try to come into that Baddha Konasana, that bound angle once more. So soles of the feet to touch. And try, you can see my knees are lifting up. Try to get them lower out to the side. Now, the closer the heels to the body, the more intensely you'll feel this. So if it's too much, you can bring the feet a little bit further away from you. I like to hold on to my feet, but that's completely up to you. See what feels good for you. Stay nice and tall through the spine, through the chest for just another moment. And then I want to give you the option to take a gentle fold. So option one is to stay right here. If this is too much, come back to easy seat. But if you want to take this gentle fold, take a nice inhale breath to prepare. And on your exhale, leading with the heart, we want to flat back. We don't want a round spine. Gently fold forward. And depending on your range of motion, your chest might be close to your feet, or you might be like me, just getting a couple inches forward, and that's okay. I can feel it in my hips. I can feel it through my back. Very gentle inner thigh stretch here. Just settle in for a couple of breaths. Good. And slowly we start to come back to our neutral spine, and we're going to come over onto our hands and knees, finding our tabletop pose. Flatten out my mat. Okay, so in our tabletop, we're on all fours, knees very slightly spread, probably about 2 fist width or inner hips distance apart, fingertips nice and spread. We're not leaning forward or back. Wrists directly down from the shoulders, knees directly down from the hips. Start with your toes untucked. Suck that belly in. Nice flat spine. Good. And now we're going to lift that right leg off the mat. We're going to straighten it out behind us, just hip height. So now you can't really see too much, but I'm just here, hip height. Flex the glute, flex the foot, toes facing down. Good. Now, if you need a little help with the balance, you can tuck the left toes. That's personal preference. I like to keep mine untucked here. And we're going to bring that right knee toward our right elbow. So right knee comes toward the right elbow. Feel that oblique engage. Good. And then slowly release it to the back. We're going to do that one more time. Right knee to right elbow. See if you can get it to touch. And then we're going to step that right foot out to the side, inside of the arch, sole of the foot to the floor. Good. It's okay if you're off your mat here. Now, we're getting this nice inner thigh stretch here. So you have the option, if this is feeling really good, you're getting a nice stretch, you can stay right here. Keep the hip away from the heel for just a moment. Settle in. And in just another breath, I'm going to give you another option. See how it feels, and then pick your poison. Stay here. If you're feeling pretty open to that inner thigh, and don't force it because we're still just getting warmed up, then you can sit the sits bones, your hip, back towards your heel and find a half child's pose here. So I'm gently bringing my glute toward my heel. And then you could keep the chest lifted here, or depending on your range of motion, maybe even walk the fingertips forward and lower a little bit. So you have lots of options here. Wherever you are, take a few breaths. Don't force anything. If anything hurts, just come back to the previous variation of this pose. Good. Wherever you are, we're going to slowly start to come out of it piece by piece. Meet back in that tabletop pose. And let's take a nice cat-cow just to neutralize our spine. So on your inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, arch that spine, maybe tuck both toes. Good. And on the exhale, the toes are tucked, untuck them, press through the palms around that spine, high to the sky, gaze comes inward. Good. And then meeting back in that neutral spine. This time we're going to extend the left leg straight out behind us. Engage that glute, flex the foot. Catch your balance, right toes tucked or untucked, whatever serves you better. Good, don't forget to breathe through all this. Good, and we're going to move through those same series of poses. So we're going to prepare to take that left knee toward the left elbow. See if you can really crunch it in. Feel that left oblique engage. Good. Send it back slowly. Nice and controlled movements. Good, left knee to left elbow. And then we're stepping it out to the side. Good. Ooh, this side might feel different. It does for me. This left inner thigh is tight. So good. Stay here for a few moments. Breathe into that left inner thigh. Imagine the breath can go there. Imagine it start to relax and open. Good. And then you know you can stay right here. So if you're getting a stretch, stay right here. Enjoy this pose. Take a few breaths. If you want to go a little bit deeper, and we try to mirror what we did on the first side, but understand our bodies are not symmetrical, so it may not feel good. So just listen to your body. But if you did so on the first side, maybe try to gently lower that glute back toward the heel. Again, you have the option to keep the top body lifted like I am here. Or you can slowly walk forward and lower to the mat if that serves you, if that feels okay. Wherever you are, we're here for another 2 breaths or so. Got a nice hip opener, nice inner thigh stretch. And then wherever you are, piece by piece, we're going to slowly come out of it. So if you're lowered, you'll start to walk the hands back in toward the body, lift the chest, lift the sits bones away from the heel, and then return that left leg back to our tabletop pose. Let's take one more cat-cow again. Inhale, we drop the belly, lift the gaze, tuck the toes. And on the exhale, press through the palms, untuck the toes, around that spine, high to the sky, gaze comes in. Good, let's stay in this angry cat back, and let's tuck our toes if they're not, and then we're gonna slowly lift the hips high to the sky, finding our first downward facing dog. Good, maybe pedal out the feet here, get a nice little calf stretch. Invite some movement. See what feels good. Maybe gentle rock forward and back. Make sure your fingertips are nice and spread. Make sure your feet aren't too far apart. They're not touching either. Again, about 2 fist width or inner hips width distance apart. Think about lifting the hips and lowering the heels. Maybe you come up and down on the toes a couple times. Think about melting the chest back towards the thighs. Maybe very gentle shake of the head yes, shake of the head no. Whatever you really need to do to get comfortable here, because we're here quite a lot throughout our practice. It's our first time here, so take a few more breaths. If you're taking any movements, make sure you even out. Good. Coming back to our traditional downward facing dog if you're in any other variation. And together we're going to take a nice slow walk, one step at a time, to the top of our mats. And letting the top body hang heavy here. Good. This is our forward fold. Uttanasana. We let gravity do the work here. Good. Again, just really think about extending through the back of the body, letting the head and arms hang heavy, getting rid of the wrinkles in the back of your neck so you're not craning looking forward. You're looking at the feet or maybe even through the legs. Good. On our next inhale breath, let's lift halfway, come to a flat back, hands come to the shins. And on the exhale, fold. Good. We're going to prepare for upward salute. So nice and slowly, we start to lift the top body one vertebrae at a time. Head will be the last thing to lift. Gotta back up so you can see me. Inhale those arms nice and wide. Open that chest, open that heart overhead. Good. Maybe a very gentle back bend, only if that's in your practice. Don't force it if it's not. And then on your next exhale breath, part the hands, swan dive slowly back into your forward fold. Good. Let's plant the palms in front of the feet. Bend the knees if you need to. We're going to take a nice step back, 1 foot at a time, to our high plank. So top of a push-up. Let's hold it for just a couple of breaths. Good. Feel the core engage and activate. That will help us with our standing poses. Let's take 3, 2, 1, and then slowly we're going to lift the hips, lower the heels back into that downward facing dog. Good. Preparing to move through some standing sequences here. Let's start with a 3-legged dog. So bring the weight into your left foot, and then that right foot's going to lift off the mat. Whether it comes a couple inches, hip height, or higher, that's up to you, your body, your range of motion, your experience. 3-legged dog. We're on our hands and 1 foot. Good. Maybe you bend the knee and open the hip. Maybe move that leg around a little bit here. Or maybe you stay square. Good. If you're bent, let's square the hips back off. Knee comes in toward the nose. We hover for just a moment. And then we do our best to step that right foot between the hands, finding our low lunge. Okay, it doesn't matter how you get there if you need a couple steps, but once you're there, the sole of that right foot should be completely connected to your mat. High on the left toes. You can see I have my peace fingers down to start. If you need to keep them there, you can. I'm just going to show you with blocks. Great pose if you just want to bring the earth a little closer to help with your alignment. Good. We don't want this top body to be resting on that leg. Or you can even invite the hands off any surface to hover. Really engage the core, engage the inner thighs here to help with that balance. And then slowly, once you have that balance, we're going to keep the legs, the base as it is, and slowly lift the arms straight up overhead for our high lunge. Pinkies, hopefully you can see on the film, are spiraled in. And my shoulders aren't too far up in my ears, nice and neutral. This is our high lunge. Come high on those left toes so you can really settle into that right leg. Feel it burning a little bit. It's warming up. That's okay. It's a strength and a stretch. Okay, let's bring our hands to prayer heart center. Good. Now you can stay right here, but I'm going to offer you a little twist variation. So if you want to try to take it, we're going to hook that left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Good. Gaze is off that right elbow. Good. Let's Keep it twisted for another breath if you're here with me. If not, you can come back to hands at prayer or traditional high lunge. You can even drop the knee at any point if you need to modify this to modified high lunge. Good. Now all together, we're going to lower that left knee. Okay, let's untuck the left toes. And we're going to untwist this top body. Good, and we're going to settle in. I'm going to start by interlacing my hands on top of that right knee, and I'm going to settle in gently forward and down. Okay, I'm looking to get a nice big stretch in this left hip flexor. This is our crescent lunge. Good, make sure the shoulders and hips are still square to the front. Good, gently settle in for another full breath. Let's actually take one more. We're going to take this first sequence a little bit slower with our poses, hold them a little bit longer, and then we'll pick up the pace a little bit with the second one so we're a little warmer. Good, so now let's take our final breath here in our crescent lunge. Good, if your hands are interlaced, let's frame out the right foot, and we're going to straighten the right leg. I'm keeping my hip away from my heel. I'm not sitting back, I'm still folding forward. This is my half runner's stretch, or half split. Ardha Hanumanasana, our half split here. Again, we're working on the back of that right leg. Flex those toes toward your face. Maybe even some gentle movements with that right foot. Really think about keeping your hips square and think about folding over that right leg. Let's take a nice inhale for halfway lift like we did in our forward fold. So on your next inhale breath, lift halfway. Make sure those hips are square. And your exhale breath brings you back down to fold over that leg for a few more breaths. Good. Left toes can be tucked or untucked. Tucked usually helps if you need the balance. I find untucked, just my personal preference, is a little more comfortable for me. No right or wrong in this one as long as it feels okay. Good. Let's take our final breath. Now listen carefully as we transition out of this. Let's bring the sole of the right foot to the earth facing forward. We're going to straighten the left leg and we're going to plant the left foot on a 45. So my toes are facing the top left corner of my mat. Then I'm going to straighten that right leg again and fold once more. This is our pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. If you need to bump up that left foot a little bit, you can. And again, try to keep the hips forward. This is not an open hip pose. And to help with that, once more, let's take that inhale for a halfway lift. I like to, when I'm here, manually roll my hip. So right hip rolls back, left hip rolls forward, and on the exhale breath, fold. Now you can stay right here folding over that right leg, or maybe you take a gentle walk with the hands to the outside of the right foot. See how that feels? Good. If your hands are walked, let's bring them back to center. Keeping the foot alignment, so left toes on a 45, right foot forward. Let's bend that right leg, arms lift straight up overhead into our warrior one. Again, nice and square. You can drop that left hand forward. Make sure the shoulders are square here. Good. Because a lot of times we tend to open, look, and we want to keep it shifted forward. Good. Keeping the legs, keeping our base. Let's lower our hands, interlace them at the low back if that's available. If you can't interlace the hands, maybe just touch fingers. And we're not going to fold here. I really just want to draw those fists down, open the shoulders, open the heart. Good. And up to you. I'm going to keep my hands this way. If you need to release them, by all means, please do. We're going to straighten that right leg. And we're going to turn both feet to face the side. And like I said, I have my hands. I'm just holding on my hands here. But it's up to you if you want to release completely. Take a gentle fold forward in this wide leg forward fold, this Prasarita. If you don't like this balance feel, absolutely bring the hands down. Bring them to the feet. Bring them in front of you. Whatever serves you best. But we are in our wide leg forward fold. Okay. Now, if the arms are not at your low back and they're down toward the ground, you could walk them forward. You could walk them back to either leg. Gotta take just a few breaths. If you do have this interlaced hand variation, see if you can lift them off your back. I'm very limited in my range of motion here. Tight through the shoulders. Some of you might be able to get them much further. And then let's all release them to the ground. Take our final breath here in our folded wide leg forward fold. Good, and then just lift up slightly, not all the way, so we can turn to face the front. Walk those hands to frame out the right foot. We're back into our low lunge. Frame out the right foot with the palms, step back to your plank. Now, we haven't flowed today. We're going to here if you want to, and if you don't want to, you can hold this plank. You can take a break. You can throw in some push-ups or come right back to down dog. If you want to flow, take a nice inhale to prepare. Exhale brings us halfway down, arms nice and close to the body. Inhale, we find our back bend. Upward dog is just hands and feet. High cobra, drop those hips. We can even widen the feet to take less pressure off the back. If that's too much, we have our low cobra option too. Okay, so pick your back bend. Roll over the toes, meeting back in downward facing dog. So whatever you chose to do, we'll meet back in down dog so we can move through the same series of poses on the left side. So inhale, left leg comes high to the sky. Three-legged dog. And if you did so on the first side, you can bend the knee, open the hip, maybe just move the leg around a little bit. But even though we know where we're going, this time we don't want to rush this, right? We want to give the same love to our second side as we did to our first. So let's square off the hips. Good, knee comes in toward the nose, hover for just a moment, high on the right toes. And then we try to step that left foot in between the hands. If you need to take a couple of steps or movements to get there, that's cool too. So we're in this low lunge. Again, fingertips or blocks or hover. Build that base, get nice and sturdy here, and then we lift to our high lunge. Good, high on the right toes, you can really settle into that left leg. Pinky spiral in shoulders, not up in the ears. Neutral position. Good, and then if you took that twist on the first side, let's bring the hands to prayer. And then we're going to gently twist that right elbow to the outside of that left knee. Prayer hand should be toward the heart space. Ooh. Gaze off that left elbow. Good, don't hold your breath when we're twisted here. If you're not twisted, you can keep the hands at prayer heart center or overhead. If you are twisted, we're here for one more breath. Good, remember you have that modified option to drop the knee, but we're all going to meet you there in just a moment. Good, so if that right knee is lifted, slowly lowering it, untucking the right toes, then coming out of this twist, interlacing the hands on top of that left knee as we gently sink forward and down into our crescent lunge. Nice right hip flexor stretch. Make sure the shoulders and hips are square toward the front of the room, toward the front of your mat. And settle in for a few breaths. Maybe you find perfect stillness. Maybe you see that you're moving a little bit here. Whatever feels good for you. Keeping in mind our stretch here is on the right hip flexor. Take another breath here. Good. And then we're going to switch this up by framing out the left foot with the hand, straightening that left leg, keeping the hip away from the heel, and folding over that left leg, finding our half runner stretch. Good. Make sure that left foot's flexed, or maybe it's even moving a little bit here. Good. We don't want that roundness in the spine. We're leading with the heart. Let's inhale for a halfway lift. And on the exhale, we fold a little bit deeper over that left leg. A lot of hamstring work this morning. Good. Settle in for another breath or two. Good. In just a moment, we'll take this hamstring stretch one step further into our pyramid pose. Let's enjoy this last breath here with the right knee down. Good, then sole of the left foot comes to your mat. We're gonna straighten the right leg, plant those toes on a 45, so it's facing the top right corner. Bump the foot up a little bit if you need to. As you straighten that left leg, really plug that left hip back, roll the right hip forward, and fold. Good, creating lots of space in the back of this left leg. Good. The eyes can stay closed as you're folded here. If you walk the hands to the outside, you can do that again on this side. See how it feels. Good. Again, let gravity do the work. You're folded. You're hanging heavy. You're breathing. Good. If the hands are walked, let's bring them back toward the center. Keeping our foot alignment, so back right toes on a 45, left foot planted and facing forward. We're going to bring a bend into that left knee. Arms come straight up overhead for our warrior one. Good, so you can set a little deeper. That we got that right hip flexor on the crescent, so it should be a little open here now to settle in. Good, make sure you're square to the front. Good, and keeping the legs, keeping the base exactly as it is. If you did so on the first, let's interlace those hands to the low back. Gonna just gently pull the double fist down. Really opening the heart space. Try not to open to the side. Keep that right shoulder square with the left. Open the heart space, open the shoulders, open the chest. If you did any chest flies or press this week, it might feel really good here. Good. Now we're gonna prepare to turn. So if you kept your interlaced hands, you can straighten that left leg, turn the toes to face the side. Inhale, and on the exhale, we fold. Good, either keeping that interlaced variation or finding another option here. You can do something different this side. We don't have a dominant side or leg in this pose. So it's up to you if you want to do the same exact thing you did on the first side, if you want to do something a little bit different. Maybe take a twist, maybe invite some movements in with some gentle lunges side to side. Maybe walking the hands forward or back. We're here for another 2 or 3 breaths. So decide what you want to do while you're here. And if you did anything on this side that went one way or the other, just make sure you're even. And then slowly we're going to start to turn toward the front of the room. We're back into that low lunge just as a transition. Hands frame out the left foot as we step it back to our plank. And then you know your options. You can hold it here. You can go right back to down dog. Or if you want to flow, take a nice inhale. Lower halfway. Find your back bend of choice. And then finding downward facing dog. If you need to take a sip of water or a super quick break, you can. I do want to kind of keep it moving. We have one more short standing sequence, and we're going to move through these poses a little bit faster this time. Hopefully you're nice and warm and ready for it. But we're in our downward facing dog. We are going to meet at the top of the mat, so if you want to take a nice slow walk there, you can. If you want to take a nice hop, you can do that too. Either way, we're going to meet in our forward fold. Give you all a moment to meet me here. Good, and then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, we rise to stand. Inhale the arms overhead. I'm just going to back up so you can see me. It's our upward salute. Good, and then hands come down through prayer heart center. Good. Bring the weight into your right foot, and we're slowly going to shift into our warrior 3. So a little bit of balance here. Good, try to make that T with your body. Flex the left foot, breathe, press the palms together. Find a drishti, something that's not moving. You can stare at for just another breath. But then we're going to take a big step back as the arms lift overhead into our high lunge. Good. Left foot turns on the angle. Slice the arms open to warrior 2. Nice deep bend in the right leg. Gazing off the right middle finger. Tuck the tailbone, suck that belly in. Settle in for just a breath. Good. Keeping the legs. Left hand down the left leg. Right arm toward the back. We're in our peaceful warrior. Don't lose the bend on the right knee. Good. Next breath. Slowly transitions us to extended side angle. Right hand to the inside of the right foot. Left hand straight up overhead. If this is too much, rest that right forearm on the thigh. Gaze can be up at the left hand or down at the right. We're transitioning out of this quickly. Like I said, we're moving a little faster this round, this sequence. Good. So left hand's going to lower to the inside of the right foot. Spin onto the left toes. Right arm peels up high to the sky. Easy twist. Good. One breath here. Right hand lowers to frame out that right foot. Let's straighten the right leg. We're high on the left toes. This is our wide-legged pyramid pose. Kind of advancing our hamstring stretch. We started with the half split, then our traditional pyramid. Now we're in this wide leg. Hopefully we're ready for it. Good. And then slowly and with control, bend the left knee to transition. And we're going to step back into that forward fold. Good. Shake it out a minute here. Hang heavy. See if your one side of the body feels different from the other. I know mine really does. And we're going to even that out here now in just a moment as we move through those same poses. Good. So preparing for that upward salute. Nice slow rise, one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, the arms come out and overhead, upward salute. Set that belly in. Good. Feel nice and tall. Hands down to prayer heart center. This time weight comes into the left foot and we shift forward slowly into our warrior three. Our only balance today here, well, true balance. Right foot's extended, hip height, flexing that foot. Press the palms together, find your drishti, breathe. 2 more breaths. Good. Slowly and with control, we're going to take a big step back on our mats onto those right toes, bend the left leg, arms extend overhead for high lunge. Good. We're only here as a transition, so just for a breath. Right toes toward the side of the room, slice the arms open to warrior two. Tuck the tailbone, deep bend in the left leg, gazing off that left middle finger. Give it all you have. You know we're not here very long. Good. Preparing for that peaceful warrior. Nice side body stretch. Right hand down the right leg, left arm frames out the left ear, leaning toward the back. So it's like the top body's leaning toward the back, the left leg's still bending toward the front. Good. Slowly we bring the hands down to frame out the left foot. Roll onto those right toes. Right palm plants inside the left foot. Oh, I missed our extended side angle. Hold on. Back up with me. Extended side angle. I skipped one here. Left hand inside of the left foot. Sorry about that. Right arm peels up high to the sky. I knew something didn't feel right. Good. Now you have the option to bring the forearm if that feels better for you. 1 breath. And then we'll find that easy twist. I can't see you. Maybe you knew and you were already here. All right. Right hand lowers the inside of the left foot. Roll onto those right toes. Left arm peels up high to the sky. Here we go with our easy twist. Good. Left hand frames out that left foot. Straighten that left leg. Fold over. We're in our wide leg pyramid pose. Good. We're going to step that right foot up to meet the left. We're in our forward fold. Let's inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold, let it all go. Good. Plant those hands. Let's just step back to downward facing dog. Good. Settle in here. Starting to bring things down a little bit now. Let's bring that right leg up high to the sky. 3-legged dog or wherever it goes. Good. Just like we did in our tabletop, we're going to bring that right knee toward the right elbow. So roll forward to plank, right knee to right elbow. Except this time we're going to lower it. We're going to find our pigeon pose. So now the right knee comes toward the right wrist, right shin is parallel to the top of your mat. You can stay lifted here. Good, as you settle in. Knowing that at any point you have this option to fold. So stay here if that feels okay. If you're getting a nice stretch in that outer hip. Or you can slowly start to come to forearms. Good. Make sure your hips are square. We're not opening or leaning to the side. Shoulders are square. Toward the top of your mat. Just settle in here. Good. Maybe you start to walk the hands forward and you come down to the forehead if that's available. Don't force it if it's not. If you have a lot of space between this hip and your mat or the ground, a block. If you don't have a block, a couch pillow, a blanket. Just to really help with your alignment. And then over time you'll find, hopefully, that space gets a little bit smaller. So wherever you are in your pigeon pose, settle in for another 5 breaths or so. Coming back to the natural breath. Picked up the pace a little bit with that second sequence, and now we're going to start to bring it down. take your final breath or two here in your pigeon pose. Really important hip opener. I find that people either love pigeon, or I don't want to say hate, but dislike it. I did hate it for many years, but I've come to appreciate it and know that it's good for me. So trying not to rush through it and taking the time it deserves, and starting to feel more open in it, honestly. So take your final breath here. If you're lowered to the forearms, coming back to the palms. Tucking the left toes. Good. Let's find that three-legged dog here once more, just to really shake out this right leg. Bend the knee, move it around. And then coming back to your downward facing dog. If you really want to flow here, you can. I'm going to go right, left leg lifted to our three-legged dog. Good. Left knee is going to come toward that left elbow as we roll out to plank. And then bringing that left knee to the left wrist, shifting that shin around, finding my pigeon lifted first, trying to get this shin parallel to the top of the mat, which is really hard. Most people angle in toward the body a little, which is okay, but that's the goal. Flex that left foot, extend that right leg behind you, and then you know you have the option to stay here lifted, or you can start to lower to the forearms. Checking out the time. Okay. We're getting there, my friends. Settling in here in our pigeon for a few more breaths. Trying to mirror what you did on the first side, respecting that your second side might feel different, so don't force anything. If it doesn't feel good, and if it feels great, go for it. Settle in. You had about 2 or 3 breaths here in our pigeon. Good. Taking our final breath here. Planting the palms. If you were lowered, slowly backing out of this, tucking the right toes. Coming back to that three-legged dog, just to bring some life back into that left leg. Bend the knee, stack hips, shake it out. We'll meet back in our traditional down dog. Good. Let's slowly roll out to a high plank, top of a push-up. And from here, let's take a nice controlled slow lower all the way to our bellies. Once you get there, untuck the toes, separate the feet mats with distance. And let's press up to our high cobra. So pressing through the palms, straightening the arms, pressing the hip flexors into the mat. If this is too much for you, just lowering and just lifting the palms, coming halfway up for our low cobra. But if high cobra is in your practice, really even lifting the chin up high. Good. Slowly lowering. Good. And let's just roll over onto your back. So keeping your head at the top, feet at the bottom of your mat. I'm just going to come to the side so you can see me a little bit better. Good. To counteract that back bend, let's hug the knees into the chest. Good. And I want to end class with a gentle inversion here. So let's, again, we were here at the beginning of class, but not long. Bring the hands down to frame out the body. And extend the legs high to the sky. This is our waterfall. Good. Maybe point and flex the feet a little bit. See how you feel now compared to how you did at the beginning of class. I would think the back of the legs are much more open. We did a lot of hamstring work. Good. Take a couple of breaths. Now, if you are an advanced practitioner and you have a different inversion in your practice, you want to come to shoulder stand or plow, you're welcome to. If you even opposite direction, if you want to go the other way and take a more restorative variation, if you have a wall close by, legs up the wall is amazing. Feels really good. But I'm just going to stay here right in the middle of my room, engage my core, think about lengthening through the back of the legs for just another few breaths. Good. I don't know if you guys are listening along, I'm on our playlist that I shared, and it's about to wrap up the last song before Shavasana. So let's take our final breath here in this inversion. Good. Good, and then let's hug the knees back into the chest, maybe even curling up into a little ball, lift the shoulders up off the earth. Maybe a couple gentle rocks side to side just to loosen things up in the lower back. Now let's take a nice full body stretch, extend everything out long. Legs together to touch, point the toes, arms frame out the ears overhead. Take a nice deep inhale breath. Open mouth, let it go. And find your final resting pose. So maybe the arms come out to the sides. Maybe you separate the feet, let the feet fall out to the side. Good, take another breath. Close the eyes if they're not. Settle into your Shavasana, your final resting pose. Good, hopefully feeling grateful for your body and your breath and your yoga practice. Again, if your mind starts to wander, just think about whatever it is that makes you happy. Even maybe smile. Actually smile, right? It's just yoga. Just making shapes with our body. Nothing too serious here. And take that scan again just to see if there's any areas you can soften. I find that I tense my glutes a lot here, so just trying to relax my glutes and melting into the mat. Closing the eyes. Relaxing the face. Neutral breath. Slow inhales and exhales for just a few final minutes of your day. Trying your best to find some stillness. If you find that you're antsy or you're wiggling around a lot, really just trying to be still. If we can find stillness in the body, which I know can take a lot of time, it took me a long time. It's still not easy. Then we can hope to find some, maybe not stillness, but some quiet, some calm, some peace in our minds. It's hard to control the thoughts, but we can develop a practice so that our thoughts don't control and consume us. Taking a final few breaths here in Shavasana. Good. And you guys know I say this every week. If you're someone who's with me, if you can stay longer, please do. I highly recommend it. I highly encourage it. But if this is already a struggle for you, or there's something that is awaiting you, you can gently start to invite some awareness back into the body without disturbing your peace. Maybe move the fingers and toes. Good. My Shavasana song just ended. I'm going to pause it. Depending on how your Spotify set up, it might put on some random song afterwards. Maybe it's a nice one, maybe it's not. So keep it going or pause it if you need to. Let's take a nice full body stretch once more. Arms extend overhead. Bring the legs together. Touch, point the toes, suck the belly in. Just really elongate yourself here. Hopefully feeling a little lighter, a little longer. Good. And then let's hug the knees into the chest. And when you're ready, there's no rush at all. Just gently roll over onto your right side, finding fetal pose, our position of renewal, of fresh starts. It's Sunday morning. Perfect time for a fresh start. And using your left hand for some support, just gently guiding yourself up into a seated position at the top of your mat. Good. Nice and slow. We don't want to disrupt our peace we just hopefully created. Good. So we're in easy seat. Palms can face up or down or at heart space, whatever resonates with you, whatever feels good. And we're going to close class with one collective breath. So take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Fill all the way up. Open mouth. Really let it go. Make it audible. I always like to end class with my hands at prayer heart center, bowing the head toward the heart. Thank you all so much for joining me, for allowing me to guide you through your yoga practice. And when you step off your mat, remember to keep strength in the body, peace in the mind, love in the heart. Namaste. Thank you guys all so much, as always, for joining me whenever it is that you're hopping on this video. The one thing that gets kind of lost with the Facebook Live is the feedback, you know, not only what I can observe, but what you guys tell me. So don't hesitate. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, body parts you want to stretch, poses you like or don't like, song requests, don't hesitate to reach out, guys. I'm here to help you, okay? So I hope you all have a great day, have a great week, and I'll see you soon.